FTX repayments have officially started. We have a complete breakdown of how much money potentially could flow into the markets. Based off of where they go, what kind of price impact would that have for Ethereum, for altcoins, for microcaps, for medium caps, for Bitcoin? We're going to have that conversation. We also have Magic Internet Money joining us to break down the charts. Bitcoin is trading under $94,000. Altcoins are bleeding. Is this a good time to buy, or are we looking at potentially more downside? We also are going to give an update on what's happening in certain sectors, such as AI, such as RWA. Also, are miners starting to sell, or are they hodling? And what does that mean for the price of Bitcoin moving forward? We have that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto, home of the juicy, entertainment-focused cryptocurrency content where we take old, boring, stale information, repackage it up in a fun, flashy Sin City, Vegas, showgirls, Elvis kind of way.
You know what I just realized? This is a pen by Sharpie. I didn't realize they make pens. I thought they only made the permanent markers. Anyway,
you know what I realized? Your interruptions are useless and pointless.
Wow,
and,
how does it feel, Rob? It feels good, doesn't it? You know, the markets are down.
Is altcoins dead?
Is altcoins dead?
Is altcoins dead?
Is that a real question?
What up?
You can't be serious, right?
Well, maybe the higher speculative, no utility. Because I mean, you were saying you were putting a nail in the coffin in altcoins yesterday.
Not true. That's not when. That is not true. That is not true.
Were we not in the same studio?
I was putting a nail in the coffin on new meme coins.
Oh, new meme coins.
Yes. Also, I did a write-up for our Patreon members on meme coins and how to navigate that market. And so if you haven't read that yet, go read it. But new meme coin, the new launches, hey, let me get in early and hold it, and the community's big, and the new SHIB, and those days are gone for now until we start seeing some things change in the markets. I think that's going to help the likes of Doge, SHIB, Pepe, SNEC, the ones that have been around for a year and a half, 2 years. But the new meme coins, I mean, look at yesterday. Adam22, the famous podcaster who pimps out his wife, he launched a Solana meme coin. And guess what? The guy's got a huge following, and it only ran to $4 million. $4 million, and it got rugged, which everyone expected, and everyone will continue to expect, which means that people will not put their money there. At least we hope they're smart enough to be like, you know what? This has happened one too many times. The same group of people launching on the same liquidity pools on the same platforms, and all they do, they pump the price up, they pay a KOL or someone with a large audience to say it's my meme coin, and then they rug the project. And we're seeing that yesterday. We saw Trump run up to 70 billion. Melania got halfway there. Libra got halfway there to that. And then Adam 22's thing got up to 4 million. So that meta is shrinking. But I want to go away from that, and I want to go to this. So a lot of speculation about this. So the $16 billion in FTX repayments, okay? So this was as of 8:20 a.m. Pacific time. Over $800 million has been received across 162,000 accounts. Now, a couple things to note here. One, they're paid back in dollars, not the currency. Also, the value determined is the price that the asset was trading at on November 11th, 2022. Reminder, Bitcoin on November 11th, 2022, $17,070. Solana, $16.31, and Ethereum, $1,285. Guess what, Robin? If you were holding ETH, you got the closest to the current prices, what the price was. Also, just to note,
it's just funny because the bear market bottom for ETH is pretty much the, Bitcoin's in all-time high range, and, ETH's still at the bear market bottom.
Anyway,
what do you know?
There's two exchanges that are going to be processing these. That is Kraken and BitGo. Now, out of this money, there's still around 350 million that is unclaimed because these people have not done KYC. What'll happen to that money? Who knows? And then there's estimates of around $3 billion flowing back into crypto. I do want to share a couple more things. These are all the creditors or the companies that have purchased the debt of the people when FTX went under, okay? Now, none of these companies, I did research, have anything to do with crypto. They offer no crypto services. They hold no crypto, at least publicly. So they bought the claims back in 2022, 2023, and they're going to sell. It is what it is. They're going to sell. And then we have this. This is interesting. This was posted by, and I just lost the page. No, this was posted by RUNE GMI. And so I'm just going to go back to this. So this was showing you the details, right? So you have around $14.5 billion in claims. Now, $7.5 billion of that is to the distressed credit fund holdings, the companies I just shared with you. These guys already bought the debt for pennies on the dollar, just like debt collectors, and they sell it for profit, right? Total X credit funds is $7 billion, and the assumption is 10% will get redeployed into crypto, which gives us $700 million. Now, the percentages can vary depending, and then this chart here, and then this is what I shared, right? So what would be the price impacts of $3 billion flowing in to the markets, okay? If 100% went to Bitcoin, Bitcoin's price would gain around 0.3 to 1.5%. If it went 50% Bitcoin, 50% alts, Bitcoin's price impact would be 0.3 to 1%. The impact on ETH would be 2 to 5%. Mid-large caps, which includes Solana, Cardano, ICP, Caspa, 5 to 10%. Low caps, 10 to 20%, obviously because they have a lower market cap and less liquidity. If it went 30-70 Bitcoin to alts, it would be extremely minimal price impact for Bitcoin. ETH would expect to gain 4 to 8%. Mid-large caps, 8 to 15, and low caps, 15 to 30. And if only 10% went to Bitcoin and the rest went to altcoins, Bitcoin's impact would be negligible. ETH would gain between 6 to 12%, 10 to 20 for mid caps, and 20 to 40% for low cap altcoins. What are your thoughts on this, Rob?
Man, you know, so it started hitting today, right?
Today.
You remember last week? You know, I love bringing up old stuff.
You love it.
I love bringing up old stuff.
Just like that one. You know?
Oh yeah. They keep coming back around, man. They just won't. They're like you feed a raccoon once, and you know I'm from Virginia, so if you feed the coons out there and then on the porch, and you know you throw the food out there. One time,
what is that coon?
No matter how many seasons go by, you give that food one time. They keep cycling back, man. You know, they keep coming back. They're still at the door. They're looking for food. Next thing you know, they're digging in your trash can, and then they're hiding in the trunk of your car. So, actually, I'm not talking about the raccoon. I'm talking about my car, my ex-girlfriend's now. But anyways, back to old stories. You remember what happened, man? No. You called me crazy for 800. What was the total? 800 million? 800
so far.
800
it's expected to be at 1.2 by the end of the day.
You said $1.2 billion hitting the market, and it's not going to rally. Are you crazy? And I was like, bro, I'm like, the amount of Bitcoin buys that we have all the time.
That's not what I said.
And you were like, there's going to be no impact. I was like,
not what
no,
I said.
There will be no impact.
Dude, I was contesting.
Rocco,
Robin,
were we not?
I was contesting your overall point of $16 billion not having an impact on the market. I was not arguing with you that $16 billion was going to go into the market. Your broader point of that amount of money impacting the market, that is what I was arguing. I was not arguing that we're going to see $16 billion.
Well, the money hit the market and it hasn't done nothing. If anything, the price is dumped. So we were sitting here riding your high horse talking about how crazy am I for thinking $16 billion into the hands of crypto degens was going to be pretty insignificant on crypto. And you were like, how high are you? Whatever. And then I'll bring up like, hey, look how much money Microsoft is buying. And then you were like, bro, it's OTC. What are you talking about? And then you were looking at me like I was crazy. And you know what? Since the money is hit, Bitcoin's went from 95,000 down to 93. And so it just goes to show you And I am a messiah, a prophet, and a knower of all markets. And so,
the Messiah Joy came down.
Okay, so let's circle back to me being right again.
At least wait for Easter.
Travis Michael said, Dave, how do you deal? I don't know.
Yeah, it's so honestly, it's gonna okay. Prior to the show, I was chit-chatting a little crypto with Dave here. Altcoins not looking so good right now, the altcoin market. We're in the middle of a bull market though, so I would encourage you to not lose faith. And you know what? This happens all the time. And you know what? Pullbacks don't just affect Bitcoin. Pullbacks affect the whole market. And once Bitcoin breaks out into new all-time highs again, once we're back over 100K, over $110,000, which we're in a bull market, it's coming. Just a question of when. And once that happens, it's going to trigger the altcoins, right? Altcoins will pick up where they left off. Some of them, some won't. Some will just kind of fade. It's been the whole narrative that that I have shared, and I think both of us kind of are in agreement that the altcoin market of 2021, where everything just rallied and you really couldn't miss on anything, that is not this altcoin market. That's not this. That's not what
this ain't your grandma's altcoin market.
Yeah, this ain't your grandma's altcoin market, no. And so you got to be really methodical, do your research, pick projects that you're very passionate about. And at the end of the day, if your project is not actively building, increasing utility, increasing the community, and has a lot of buzz, then the speculation alone ain't going to do it, bro. Because venture capital, smart money, VCs, they're not buying speculation here, right? Or at least they're not buying it at the current moment. The whales and the smart money, they've already put their positions in. The people, the institutions that were buying Solana, they were buying Solana when it was $20, $30, $100, whatever it is. Positions have already been put in. And so if you got something that you're saying, hey, well, the transactions are going to be through the roof, or this DEX is going to come out on the chain, is going to change everything, or hey, they're rolling out X, Y, and Z. If it ain't built right now and it ain't growing, you're gonna miss the ball, bro.
So what are some that come to your mind, Robin? Just be brutally honest. What are some projects that fit that?
Yeah, and I'm talking specifically for making money in the next 6 months, right? Now, you can go on a longer term time horizon and say, hey, this project has great fundamentals, a great team, great great roadmap. I like what they're doing. Community is growing. So there's essentially two buckets for me, right? It's the longer term bucket. I mean, you have the diamond bucket, which is your Bitcoin. Then you got your layer ones. And I know like one that I can like for example, I think Chainlink is an amazing long-term hold. It's not anything I want in the short term. I'll be honest with you. You're not gonna take $10,000 and turn it into $50,000 with Chainlink. It just ain't gonna happen. Matter of fact, you put $10,000 in a Chainlink today, you probably will have $10,000 in.
I disagree.
And okay, even if you do make some returns, it's probably not going to be that great. What are you going to get? 50% run up in 6 months? And do you think that Chainlink's going to explode in the next 6 months?
If the markets are up, Chainlink will 5x.
Chainlink will 5x?
Yeah.
What Kool-Aid you drinking, bro?
Grape
Kool-Aid.
Grape
huh?
drink.
That grape
That
drink.
purple stuff. Is that Dave Chappelle?
So, I mean, it's at $17 right now. Currently it's at 17. It was almost at $30. All-time high was $50. So you think it'll get to $80, $80, $90?
Yeah.
Maybe
It doesn't happen in 6 months, but it's going to happen in the cycle. So.
I mean, 6 months in the cycle is a little different. I think that we extend out to 2025 2026 for printing all-time highs. I think that we get all-time highs, we get pullbacks, we keep printing more all-time highs, and I think this expands out to 2026. And so it's going to be a long roller coaster. So for me, I'm looking at where do I see the value and the prices being down? Because you go down to what's down the most on the 7-day. Solana's at a deep discount right now, right? And so, Solana at 164, down 16%. It's it's the fourth largest loser on the week out of the top 100 projects. You also got Radium and Virtuous Protocol in here, but for me, I'm like, hey, where am I going to get the biggest return on a bounce, right, for altcoins? And so that's where I'm at, and I just don't. I'm not throwing Chainlink in the big bounce off of an altcoin dip.
It's okay, you don't have to. I will.
But
all right. Yeah. Let's bring Magic on. He's patiently waiting. It's Tuesday, which means it's Magic Internet Money Tuesday. Magic, welcome back to the show, man.
What's up, man?
How are you, brother?
I'm just freezing my butt off over here again. So
I heard there's a big snowstorm over there. We're trying to get some almanacs out to some people, and our provider told us, hey, there's a big snowstorm. We're kind of snowed in, but hopefully the charts aren't snowed in. They're kind of on fire to the downside.
Yeah.
Last week you were on. You threw out some $80,000 numbers as some potential areas that we could hit. We were sitting in a nice, comfortable 96, 97 last week. And we're 93, so we're closer to your numbers there.
What are you seeing?
Is the altcoin market tanked? And I know that's a very broad, very broad.
Has it
statement.
tanked? Kind of, yeah.
But obviously, Solana's taking a beating, kind of off the back of I think meme coin launch exhaustion. I think is probably the best way I could sum it up. I think people are just tired of big
getting destroyed.
Yeah, and also the curtain has been pulled on the inner working
cabals.
Yeah, the inner working of all of meme coins, and so I think a lot of people have just kind of lost faith in the fact that they can make money.
It's literally like
which is funny because the writing's been on the wall the whole time, and people are like, "What? People are front running us?" Yeah, it's been like that. Like, okay, yeah, CoffeeZilla just exposed it. So, yeah, I don't know if you. I know you don't. I know we talked about Bitcoin dominance in the past, and it's not really been your go-to indicator. But what's kind of your vibe on the whole market as a whole, or maybe if you want to. Share your
mean
thoughts
reversion. Yeah, sure. It's a very simple case. I think you can make this very complicated or very difficult for some people, but in this case, I think it's simple. The 21 weekly moving average, for instance, like if we want to keep it real easy, and I'll get rid of the 5 here so that it's easier to see in the 365. So just the 21 and the 55 on the screen. Let's hide the 55 even. Let's just get rid of all of them, except for this one. We have not been back to the 21, like a direct connection with it since October. So coming up on 140 days, it would lead me to believe we're probably going to come down and test it. We're on the BLX, so it's not updating live. But we don't go that often, where we spend over 150 to 60 days away from it. And if we go to a relevant chart now, and you could, plug that in, you could see exactly where it is. I don't think I have it on this one. No, I do right here. There we go. We haven't come back to it yet. And so we front ran it here. It would, to me, it seems like we want to come to that level. There are other things, again.
What's the number there?
The 21 is sitting at 89,463. And then you have a quarterly pivot. And I say this every week, and I know people are like, this guy's like a broken record. But, these hit at a 70+% rate. So more than 7 out of 10 times, you're going to come into contact with the average from the prior quarter. As a horizontal level. So it's not going to be dynamic and change until next quarter. And that's at 86,881. And the setup for us coming into the year off of the specific type of volatility that we had, we were looking for the initial pump up to 15. In this case, it went 17%. And now we're looking for it to come back down a little bit lower than that, this value here. But to me, these lows need to be protected. And the real reason they need to be is one, bull market support band. It's kind of I wouldn't say it's a meme or cliche, but Benjamin Cohen has done a very good job of coining that, and rightfully so. It's been a very important moving average, throughout the history of Bitcoin. If you lose this quarterly pivot and you lose this moving average, like formally, like not just chop around it and then, expansion, acceleration to the downside, you would start confirming things, that we've actually talked about here. And I joke on Twitter, I say, you guys want to see a dead body. And it was this chart specifically that the last major tops on Bitcoin on the RSI could be found on the weekly. And if we took out an average, that it said that this zone right here in terms of time between November 18th and January 6th was going to give us our next top. And it did very well. It's back tested the exponential, and you would have some divergence here, right? So that divergence will play out quite heavily if you confirm a weekly high here. And so what I mean by that is this structure of weekly candles, because these are all weekly candles. If this confirms as a top, that doesn't mean you can't put a higher low in here, but it's going to hurt a lot. And I think that at that point, I start to lean towards, is the cycle over? And then I have to look back at, where's my end of the, cycle line? And it is the bi-quarterly and the yearly levels, right? So that would be these two. I don't know if this is blue or purple, one of the two colors on the screen here. This zone historically, if lost post halving, is the end of the bull run. So it can dip down to here, but it must hold this area. And so to me, if the cycle is to continue and I'm going to get a good buying opportunity, it's going to be off the back of a mean reversion. Sentiment is already pretty low. Doesn't mean it can't go lower. That's how I look at it. So everything has been pointing to this area. All historical data has pointed to, we're going to get this back test. The question is when we get it, is it going to hold? And if it does, I think this is our next major buying opportunity. So anything under 90K to me is considerable off of a decent reaction for a fairly good swing position in this market. So it's not to be bearish or anything, and I don't mean that in any way. I just think that if I was taking the best trade for me, all the best trades were shorts leading up until potentially this long here. That's the long I'm waiting for if I'm going to add any market funds to this, current cycle.
Hey, Magic, at the beginning of the show, I kind of mentioned as kind of my thoughts to the viewers that are concerned about altcoins and just kind of where the markets are outside of Bitcoin. I was like, hey, once Bitcoin kind of breaks out, gets to new all-time highs, the altcoin market should be fine. Do you share kind of that idea, or is it possible? I mean, I guess anything's possible, but do you hold much weight on a Bitcoin breakout and altcoins stalling? I mean, I know historically it doesn't happen unless you're in a bull market, excuse me, if you're in a bear market. Is that something that you maybe have seen some clues to? Because it seems like altcoins are underperforming the expectations when Bitcoin runs to a certain extent, or at least, I mean, what's kind of your thought on the altcoin market? And because the altcoins are just taking a beating right now.
My thought process is that altcoins are starting to present quite a few good opportunities. There are some trade setups that are, they're one dip away from being ready to play out. We covered some of them this past week. I think I wrote some on the board here. Yeah, like we're talking old school coins like, RWeave and SNX and a few others. But again, this still hasn't confirmed a high here on the weekly. You did fail to swing fail on a weekly. So, your next hope is, the monthly candle, how February closes in general for this market, Bitcoin, altcoins, everything is going to be quite important, including Bitcoin dominance, which weighs heavily onto altcoins, obviously. So you want to see this kind of respecting this like 61 to 62% area as resistance in that turnaround. And if you do, that is par for the course. And it's a painful ride to get to Bitcoin dominance topping for most altcoins. I think one of the biggest issues this time around is, the saying is a rising tide lifts all ships. And Bitcoin traditionally, Bitcoin's going up. Some of these alts, they're starting out with market caps at like nothing, and they're ripping, 10, 20, 30, 40x. And then they go like another 10x from there after Bitcoin dominance tops, right? Issue with that is how early was that market in terms of like projects. You've got so much money spread around now into this market cap, into projects that are probably never going to do anything. These are all going to become JCPenney stocks at some point, and people are just holding them, hoping, and that's how you end up, on the wrong side of things. So you kind of have to, have your exit strategy, I guess, or your conviction of, hey, I'm invested in Cardano and here's why. And it's an active ecosystem. And I know that right now memes are kind of spoiling everything for everyone in terms of, being degenerate gambling essentially. But long term, as long as the chart's not actively going to zero, I guess is the best way to put it. And I could pull up an altcoin for that.
I do love me some JCPenney, man. It's and if I was holding JCPenney stock, if I was holding JCPenney stock, I would always get a glimmer of hope every time Christmas season comes around, which is kind of like bull market.
You have
season.
never held JCPenney stock. What are you talking about?
I've held gift cards, which is a tokenized stock.
Yeah, okay.
In a card format. Thank you.
Yeah,
like, when you look at linear here, this looks bad, right? But when you get out of linear and you go to log, because a lot of these have ran so much, Cardano, like even now, it's bouncing from a pretty, solid zone of support. It's really not doing anything overly bearish. It is kind of stalled out here. So what you are waiting to see is what's going to happen with Bitcoin. Now, other altcoins that are maybe less secure in the market and less secure in investment thesis, they're probably going to get wrecked. That doesn't mean Cardano is not going to go down at all. It just means versus other altcoins, so we'll call them shit coins, whatever you want to call them, Cardano is going to perform better, and I'm only using Cardano because it's just a mainstream coin that everyone should know what it is. And it's, one of the big players in the space, both in market cap and in community. These ones should perform okay during that time in comparison to, the other ones. For me, I'm not going to knife catch. Now, obviously I have trading zones that I'm willing to trade and buy. And sometimes it's off the back of a, move down on Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin capitulates to that sub 90K level that I'm expecting, and we get a good bounce, I think you're going to get some great opportunities on altcoins as well. It's just some of them are going to be a little more painful on the way down. And everyone's been so eager just to throw money into these things because traditionally that's what you did. It's not quite the same this time around in terms of that. But Bitcoin dominance is at a key resistance zone. Altcoins are all coming into support. They're looking to put in higher lows. After big consolidations, this is how you get continuation in those. Doesn't mean you're going to. It's just, the recipe is there. Just be patient and wait for a setup is what I would say. Like on Cardano, it's a very simple setup, right? Best case scenario, you take out these monthly lows, close above, and you can then look for a back test of this resistance. But if it doesn't, you might spend a couple weeks down here putting in some kind of a structure that may allow you to get an entry off of either a key support from 2024 and 23, these highs, or maybe it comes down to the quarter one low here from 24 that was resistance and would be an SR flip here. That would be kind of what you might be looking for, and then zooming out a little bit so you guys can see what I mean by these quarterly levels. Very simply put, this was a very key low. If we came back and back tested it at support while Bitcoin's finding support, that's what you want to see. That's the confluence you're looking for. If you don't get that, to me, I just don't put money in. But I also have a different thesis in terms of how I treat altcoins versus Bitcoin. Everyone knows I'm a bit of a maxi. That doesn't mean I won't trade altcoins and give them, their due and say, this one could be something someday. I'm just not willing to put a ton of money into it. It's, not worth the risk to me because I feel like there are safer vehicles like Bitcoin. But yeah, the chart of big things like Cardano, fine. It's a pullback. You came into a major resistance zone. You're getting a pullback. Bitcoin's doing the same thing. I don't know. I'm not trying to downplay it at all. I think it's something that people, this cycle to me, I keep saying it is it's the fastest I've seen sentiment change back and forth. And I don't know if it's because of social media or what it is. It's just the information now is like happening so quick. I've never seen emotions go back and forth so fast. So I kind of just try to remain, steady.
This is, to me at least, this has been a very weird cycle, right? On the tangible side, when you look at metrics, stats, who's buying, looks good. We're in a bull market. Funds are increasing, right? And here, I'll just show this here. This is a chart of Bitcoin fund holdings. This includes ETFs, hedge funds, you name it, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds. So that's increasing. Look at this. This is the MPI, right? The minor position index. They're holding. They're not selling. Typically in bear markets, they sell, right? See large spikes in the MPI because they're selling, right? The outflows of their Bitcoin in dollar terms to exchanges, which means, hey, if they're sending it to an exchange, they're probably selling. On the non-tangible side, it's like we're in a bear market. Sentiment is in the trash can. Big news doesn't move the markets. I mean,
I think that sentiment, that trash can, I think it's off of people overexposed to altcoins. And I think that it's high risk altcoins. And I think that people just blindly expected altcoins to rip. And now that we're seeing the price of Bitcoin where it is, if you remove altcoins from the equation, just pretend like altcoins don't exist and we're just looking simply at Bitcoin, when we don't talk about crypto broader, you shouldn't be concerned in the slightest. I mean, 1 month ago, we printed an all-time high, 108,000. And so that's why for me, Bitcoin is great. I think where we're at, we're fine. Institutions are buying, states are buying, nation states are buying, sovereign wealth funds. You know, the policy here in the U.S. is changing. Executive branch is commanding the U.S. to buy Bitcoin, or at least that's the plan. And so, you know, from a perspective of Bitcoin adoption, it's about as good as it gets, right? Just a minor pullback from 108,000 to 90-something thousand, and up from up from 60,000 last year, and then up from 40,000 prior to the ETF, just still a year ago, and then up from the bear market bottom of sub 20K. And so where we're at for Bitcoin is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But I think that as the price increases on Bitcoin and altcoins just haven't followed, people are they're having meltdowns. And I think that the reason we've seen altcoins explode the way they have is because people were expecting the returns from their altcoins, and when they didn't get it, they're like, well, they're making money in meme coins, and then they just start like, all right, well, I need to make money. I missed it on Bitcoin, and my alt that I loved isn't performing well, and everyone's making money on memes, and so they just pile in on those.
And then they lose money, and then
they lose money, and then the market's exhausted. But all the while, the same narrative for Bitcoin is still pumping, and the buyers are here, and it might not be the retail buyers, but there's only so much Bitcoin going around, and that price is going to go up. And that's why I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, do we find ourselves in a scenario where Bitcoin keeps increasing in value and price, market cap, but yet the altcoins stall as a whole? I think that is absolutely going to happen. And I think that the fact that there's going to be value and utility in the altcoins once Bitcoin keeps moving on. I don't think the market's over, but I think we're at a pause. And when Bitcoin takes off, there's only going to be a handful of winners.
I'll kind of put a bow on this, okay? If you guys remember the .com era, Magic, Rob, I know you're Rob, you're definitely old enough to remember. Everyone was so excited about the internet. Literally any company that IPO'd that had some sort of .com or internet label to it, everything ran, right? And then we had a massive washout, and the companies that kept building products and services that people can relate to and it would translate to something, those would bounce back. Amazon, eBay, you name it, right? And the rest just died. They either died or slowly trended to zero. And that's maybe what we're seeing now, right? And that's why I've kept saying projects that have utility and that have actual use cases are going to come out of this stronger than ever. And as people continue to lose money on highly speculative plays like meme coins, the new launches, vaporware, promises of we're going to do this, but where is it? Like, the time is here now. And so there's no more promises. Once institutions are here, they're here. Once governments start buying, they're buying. Once they put it on blockchain, they're putting it on blockchain. So
as you mentioned, the time is here. In the past, it was all speculative. Hey, we're gonna do X, Y, Z. Well, that was the whole market. Now we're in a scenario where like we're here, and so you're like, well, we're gonna be we're gonna have a lot of millions of transactions. We're like, well, there's already like 10 of them doing that right now. Yeah. So what? Okay, cool.
What do you, Magic? You got some thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I look at it as I called this a Bitcoin only cycle, going even into the cycle, mainly because of the ETF. And, there's so many altcoins. That doesn't mean that they won't succeed. Kind of what you were saying with the .com era. I do think, though, we're in a scenario where Bitcoin, even though it's not considered the internet, I think everybody used to refer to Ethereum as internet and Bitcoin as, gold or store of value. But in this case, if we were using that same analogy, I would actually call Bitcoin internet, because without the validation of Bitcoin being what it is, it can't shed light on other projects that do have promise. Those charts will reflect strong, fundamentals eventually, and some of them do already. But it is one of those things where, Bitcoin's going to have its due, and then you'll see rotations where it's more widely accepted. Cryptocurrency is widely accepted because Bitcoin has done what it has done, and that will trickle into other markets more heavily. You'll see people coming in with more investment, and that money that it takes to get to those valuations that we're all hoping will take place. It's just that is going to take some time, those types of things. And when I say time, I'm talking from where we are now could be 4 years, sometimes. And I'm not talking about an $8,000 Ethereum. People are saying 20K Ethereum. I'm like, that's where you get a 20K Ethereum. It could be 4 years from now, but that's where it is, because Bitcoin has been around. It's established itself. All of the major companies are already in it. Governments are in it. Then they're going to be on to the next thing. Well, this Bitcoin thing is great. It's valued. It's valuable. It's valid. What else does the market truly have for us to actually put on risk? Yeah. And that's where that risk comes in. So to me, that's how I see it. It's a very long-term play. And so that's why when people ask me why I'm so adverse to not spreading out and diversifying across crypto, because I do preach that you should be diversified. I also think that, you should find the horse that's winning the race and stick with it, especially if it's not I wouldn't say it's not risky. I would just say it's the least amount of risk possible at this current juncture, Yeah, so that's it. That's how I view it. I think there will be lots of winners.
Interesting on the kind of the Ethereum mention,
out of everything he said, you pick out the Ethereum. Okay, go ahead.
Ethereum's currently at $2,626.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about 4 years from now, it's going to be at $2,626.
Yeah, we knew that was coming.
Right there. There it is.
If we're a hater.
The sideways king computer decentralized sideways chart of all time. There you go.
God, you're such a hater. Guys, when your mood is down and your portfolio's down like mine is, and I'm sure a lot of people watching, there's a few things that can make it better. One of them is cookies. And we're excited to share a very special person. They're doing a fundraiser for their school. And of course, it's Magic's daughter. So if you like Girl Scout cookies and you want to support, go buy some. She's got a goal she wants to meet. I think it's 485 packages. Okay. We got 380 people watching. Everyone loves Girl Scout cookies, right? Everyone loves Girl Scout cookies. So do yourselves a favor. Buy some delicious Girl Scout cookies. You'll be supporting Magic's daughter, Nora, as you can see here on the screen. And so Magic, when we're done with the show, I will personally buy some as well. And we recommend everyone who enjoys cookies, and maybe you just need a little lift me up with some sugar. Not health advice.
Nothing wrong with that. I appreciate it. But I'll say this. Anyone that, because it does require, if you're going to get them ordered, you have to buy 4 boxes. I know there's shipping at that point. If you buy the 4 boxes and shipping, go to their Discord, prove that you purchased, and I'll have them do a raffle at the end of, middle of March or end of March, and I'll give away $100 worth of Bitcoin to one person that did buy cookies just for fun.
Sweet.
And, even if you guys don't want to be in the raffle, still go buy cookies, get your diabetes.
Dude,
I'm
those lemonade ones are bomb. The lemonade ones?
I'm cookies?
Like dude, those are fire. My favorite, though, is definitely the Adventurefuls. The brownie with the caramel.
Yeah.
I feel like the ETH holders are buying lemon cookies.
Fucking guy, bro. I can't with this guy.
I'm a Thin Mint guy. Thin Mint's out of the fridge. That's my go-to. It's hard to really mess that up.
Thin Mints are pretty good. They're the OG, right? Also, go join Magic's Discord. We'll drop that link in there as well. Magic, thank you as always for joining us, brother. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you.
Thank you. I wanted to give the viewer a little bit of a perspective here real quick. I won't expand too far on this, but
give us some perspective.
We're a little down right now.
Just
and,
a little bit.
You know, the narrative here is that, like, hey, man, Bitcoin probably bounce back. Some of your favorite alts probably won't. Like, you're probably like, man, what the hell? Look, listen. The only way you're going to make money here, this bull market cycle, is information, right? Because the consensus here, what we're seeing so far, and what I think is going to continue, is that there is not going to be a winner take all. I mean, it's not going to be like all altcoins are going to win. You're going to have to really nail it, right? If you're going to if you want to just buy Bitcoin and just DCA, cool, have at it. But if you want to nail some 100Xs, some 10Xs, some 50Xs, you want to make some crazy money this bull market, you're going to have to be very selective on what you buy. And simply just throwing a dart at the board, which is the altcoin market, ain't going to work like it did in 2021. That was easy to make money in 2021. It's not easy to make money right now. It's easy to lose money right now. And so I would highly suggest you pay attention, you watch shows like ours, you listen up, see where the trend is going, be ready to make moves, man. What's that? Join the Patreon. There you go. That'll also help out a lot. Also, we do got some new faces here. If you are new, say hello. We'd love to give you a little shout out. We do have Oya Kodon, also Lasagna Matt, Chipper, the Valley.
Matt?
Yeah.
Lasagna not.
Lasagna not.
Lasagna man.
He's just adding letters now that don't exist.
Also, we got Chipper, the Valley Kid, Kenneth V, Mr. K, VC, Cielen Chain. I know that, butchered that one. Brian Wild, Meme Coins 100X, Carlitos Mayo, All Set, Optimus Crypto, and T.Y. Gorton. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City.
Also, we had a super chat from Benny Blue Eye said, what stops the big money from investing in and rebuilding FTX, knowing that now they got FTX by the short and Curly's? Should they?
Ain't nothing stopping it, but it is a brand. It is a stain on the brand. So,
and I heard that
if you're going to try to revive it, now you gotta.
I know the
worry
tech
about
and
the
IP
image.
is still valuable.
Yeah, but I think if I had big money and for some reason I had my eyes set on all the inner workings of FTX, I would just buy it and rename it and launch it, right? And so I think that the stigma of FTX, and think in its own is gonna be bad, right? It's like I wouldn't buy a restaurant that just closed down for killing a few people with E. coli. Be like, well, that's a pretty good discount. People love the tacos.
Didn't Firefly?
People love the tacos.
Didn't Firefly get shut down here in Vegas?
Yeah, I
and
go
then
there
they
all the time.
reopened as Firefly.
Yeah. But you don't want to buy it right afterwards, right? And if you do, sometimes you just buy the restaurant and you rename it, especially if it's got a really bad.
So what should they
image.
rename FTX to? ATF?
XTF.
XTF. XTF.
Well, 10 years from now, people won't even remember FTX.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah,
Tom Brady will remember it, though. He had $600 million of his family net worth in it. Gone. Yeah. You know, there was a comment by...
like there was... I remember back when I grew up, there was this plane crash. It was TWA, right? It was big ones on the news. Then they rebranded to like Continental or something like that. I don't know which one.
And now Continental doesn't exist, so there you go.
Yeah, but anyways, was that, doesn't mean it has to go away, but you're fighting an uphill battle and maybe an unnecessary battle if you're going to buy an old company that has a tarnished name.
You know, I want to share a comment here from Coconut Monkey. He said, we're going to have a longer than average cycle and have longer consolidation periods because we don't have interest rate cuts and the bond market isn't flowing into stocks and crypto. I like that.
Probably.
I think I agree with you here.
Probably. There is a lot to that.
That's kind of what you said, right? You said you think it's going to go into 2026.
Yeah, I think the market is longer, and you know what? It's with the interest rates being where they're at. It's not as easy to borrow money, right? And so you're not seeing. And what does borrow money mean? You might think, oh, borrow money. I'm going to take a loan out and buy crypto. No, usually it's, hey, it's easier to borrow money. I can go buy another house, sell the house I'm in. You know what? I made in the equity, I made X amount of money. Now I got extra, things like that nature. Cashing out 401ks tends to be better when interest rates are down and money's the ease of borrowing money is better. So there's a lot of different things that happen when the interest rates are more favorable for borrowing. And money always kind of finds its way into investments.
That's what the wealthy do, right? Instead of taking an income or a salary, they just borrow the money against their net worth, and they just pay the 2% interest if it's low versus the 30% income tax. Yeah. And now if they're borrowing at 6-7%, obviously, to your point.
Yeah, I just think what we're seeing is we've seen less dramatic pullbacks and also less dramatic run-ups when it comes to price, right, on Bitcoin. Bitcoin has run up, made a new all-time high, consolidated, run up, make a new all-time high, consolidated. But the consolidations have been shorter, though. We went from 8 months to, what was it, like a few months?
I did this analysis on the trading show yesterday, which, by the way, we do a nightly trading live show, so join me. I'll be going live again tonight at the same time, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We kind of broke that down. But, I've also said, could we be in this new mini cycles, right? Mini bull and bear market cycles that last maybe 6 months each instead of a year and a half of straight up and to the right and then 2.5 years of just getting absolutely demolished. Could we see that as well? Potentially, we don't know. But what we do know is we're in a space, brand new technology looking to upend the entire financial system where we're essentially at floor number 1.
I would say that we're really just in consolidation, right? It was back in November, we broke $90,000 Bitcoin, and we've had some ups and downs in between there, but essentially we've crossed into the 90K range in November. And well, here, take a look at this chart. You would pretty much say that this is sideways consolidation right here, right? We got into 60K. I mean, you might freak out over this, right? We got into 60K, but we went from 70, we went down to 55, we went to 67, we went down to 56, we went up to 64, we went down to 57.
Yeah, the range tight.
These weren't, at the time, they seemed dramatic. But when you look at this chart, this is just sideways consolidation, right? From March of 2024 until November, essentially, you just essentially traded sideways, just kind of ping pong, right? We're in the same area, right? And so we're not losing value here. I mean, we're still in a beautiful price range. We're just consolidating. I think the consolidation range is just a little shorter this time before the next breakout.
But is it
not going to be 8 months again?
But is it the most beautiful price range?
It is the most beautiful price range I've ever seen.
Oh my God. All right. I want to talk about this real quick. So Google's Web3 specialist, Kyle Sing-a-Song, says, we are exploring ways to lower entry barriers so Web2 users can easily use Bitcoin.
Did you say Kyle Sing-a-Song?
Yeah.
He just did.
So we have this, and this kind of goes back to what I showed when Magic was on, the fund flows, ETFs, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, hedge funds, they are buying and actively accumulating BTC. And so you look at the tangible numbers and on-chain data, that's what you're seeing.
Yeah. Now that chart I showed you was Bitcoin entering in 90,000 back in November, and we're really consolidating. I mean, you have any kind of negative thought on, or do you have any kind of downward price expectations on Bitcoin? I mean, because I don't see us back down to 80,000. I think if we do go down there, it'll be extremely brief. Well, and last week I told you I was expecting a breakout. I still think it's going to happen.
Just look at what we've seen this cycle, right? Big dips have been bought up almost immediately. We saw Bitcoin wash out to 90K. The next day ETF flows come in, they bought 500 million, right? So you now have a subset of investors that have a lot of capital, that aren't tied in their emotions, that aren't trading shit coins, and they're looking at, okay, here's an asset we valued at X amount. We've allocated X percentage to it. And if the price drops 10%, they're able to look at it and say, okay, we're buying. We're buying at a 10% discount. But also on the flip side too is they're scalping 20, 30% profits, right? They're not your average diamond hand buy and hold. They're looking to make money for themselves and for their company. So dips are being bought, but on the upside as well, I don't know, maybe we don't see the Bitcoin going from 100 to 250K in a matter of 2 months. Maybe we don't. The only thing I could think of that could make that happen is you get into oh shit, Russia started buying Bitcoin. Okay, here comes India, here comes Japan, here comes China, here comes the US. and you really see a race to the top, at that point, when you look at fundamentally and really just basic
I
analysis.
cannot see any scenario where the U.S. has a strategic Bitcoin reserve and they're buying hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin where the Bitcoin price doesn't immediately catapult. We can sit here and be like, hey, it's nice, slow and steady growth. But if the U.S. is buying hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin each year, particularly, especially in the first year, and you also couple that with the sovereign wealth fund that the U.S. is launching, which we are expecting will also have a Bitcoin position. How on mathematical earth can we not get to $150,000 or $200,000 almost immediately?
Did you say mathematical?
Yes, mathematical earth. I know that math is universal and it does stretch outside, and the laws of math are the same laws here on the United States as it is on Earth, as it is on Mars. And so it might not make sense when I say that, but it makes sense in my head. And so on this mathematical Earth, what kind of scenario would have to play out where the U.S. is buying hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin? There's only, we look at the on-chain reserves. They're not there. They are just not there for that kind of demand. They're just not. And we are going to see a supply shock, the price of Bitcoin go up.
Are there cockroaches on mathematical Mars?
There is a Mars.
No, there's
Mars.
no,
They're full of
cockroaches
cockroaches.
cannot live in space. It cannot live on Mars. But you know who will? You know who can?
Math.
Tardigrades.
What?
Tardigrades, they're these little tiny.
Tardigrades?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like they look like these little, there's like little pink animals. They're very hard to see. They're all over the world, man. There's like billions and
Sounds like
billions
you've done
of
some
them.
research on
But
that.
anyways, yeah, they can survive in space. They brought them out into space and brought them back, bro. They're just out there floating around, no space suit. They don't even die, man.
Also,
it's
long
like
tater tots.
it's like Dogecoin. You know, everyone thinks they're gonna die. You can't kill that damn thing. It just keeps on going.
Shout out to the actual dog died. Caboose.
Oh man, my boy.
Your boy.
Kaput.
A little update on Solana. Number of active addresses on Sol has dropped from 18.5 million in November to just 8.4 million today. Again,
I found the tardigrade right here. Look, this is tardigrades here. These things are indestructible. They can live in space. They can live on Mars. They are the DeFi creature.
what do you watch on YouTube these days, Ron?
You know what? You know,
They look cool.
I don't know. Tell me.
I like.
Sometimes because I'll find a video
Uh-huh.
and then I'll be playing it, and it's usually a podcast, which is like an hour long. So what ends up happening is I fall asleep.
And then
Very interesting is when I wake up, and then next thing you know, there's some guy in a jungle like building a waterfall / like outdoor pool
with no shoes on.
with no shoes
Oh, sure.
on,
Yeah,
and then
I've seen those videos.
there's like some like panda videos. Panda videos are the best, man. I don't know how pandas have made it this far in evolution because they have no balance. They fall. They are slow. They're not aggressive, and so how'd you get here?
And they're vegans. They eat bamboo.
No predators.
I do want to give a big thank you. Today's show was brought to you by not by the what was it called?
Tardigrades.
Not by the Tards, but by Legacy Network and the Legacy Academy app. Guys, if you haven't downloaded it yet, you can earn LGCT tokens, which is live within the app, and you learn as you go. There's a Telegram link in the description of this video if you want more updates on what they're doing. But download it. It's available on Apple and Google Play stores. And they got some big updates coming, so we're excited to share that with you guys as they come about. So big thank you to Legacy for sponsoring today's show. On Solana, yet again, Meteora, which is the liquidity provider, the LP, their co-founder, Ben Chao, has resigned amid the Libra scandal. Now, Meteora was behind the Trump launch. They were behind the Melania launch, and they were behind the Libra launch. There's speculation and rumors and exposés coming out that insiders from Jupiter and Meteora and the likes of that one dude that's got a really small head but really broad shoulders, they all had an inside track into these projects, sniped them, and then dumped them on the retail investor. And so
None of this was
it's like everyone's running for the hills. But
None of what happened with Solana and the meme coins is a surprise to me. And I would say it shouldn't be a surprise to you, but either way, it's not. We're not going down that path right now. But I'll just say that I am glad that there has been a spotlight put on to this industry that a lot of people were oblivious to.
By the way, we're not part of any Sin City Crypto. We have never been. Well, we got reached out to one time to front run a project. We said no for obvious reasons, but we're not part of any insider sniping cabal. Just so you
But guys, we have a new announcement. We are launching the Sin City.
No, we're
Crypto-
not.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
We're not launching anything. If you guys notice, when we ask you for your money, we give you something in return, not just speculation. And then the last thing
I just to end my thought there, I'm just glad that there's a spotlight on snipers, insiders, devs launching and pulling liquidity, extracting value. I think finally, because last bull market they weren't called out on it, right? Yeah. How many meme coins launched in 2021 when SHIB came into the fray, and then you had all of the Dogelon Mars and every single baby Doge and baby SHIB and everything, but nobody held anybody accountable. Nobody put anybody's feet to the fire. Nobody cared, right? It was just part of the game. And we saw that in the beginning stages of this bull market. It was almost kind of upsetting, and everyone's making money and it ain't retail, man. And so I'm glad that at least now
retail's making reverse money.
Yeah. Now, at this point, at least people are starting to understand the inner workings. I mean, we're pretty plugged in, so we already knew how this worked. But I'm just glad that these people are, going on podcasts, getting questioned, getting grilled. The community is up in arms. They're burning it down. The X accounts, people are resigning. Hey, that's not, you know what I mean? Because the SEC ain't going after you now.
Chickens come home to roost.
And so SEC isn't going after people. We got to hold people accountable. If we want DeFi,
do you miss
no, I don't. But if we want DeFi to be DeFi, then somebody has to hold them accountable. If you don't want the regulators, you want to keep it DeFi, and you don't want the regulators to do it, we got to do it ourselves.
Stop giving them money.
We got to hold people accountable.
Stop giving them money.
And we got to get pissed off when somebody rug pulls. And we got to be like, hey, who ran that rug pull? Who was behind it? Which person ran the rug pull? What is your name? Once you know your name, we're going to talk about it. We're going to put you on blast. We're going to hold you accountable. And that's what we're seeing. So thank God for that, bro.
What are your thoughts on the Allah candle?
Allah candle?
Allah.
Allah?
Allahu Akbar. Also, Rocco said Pompeii worms. I wonder why he chose Pompeii. Isn't that in Italy?
Well, he has a name because of the volcano.
Right.
Oh, heat tolerant, huh?
Yes, pretty much he lives on the vent under the ocean. Not only the pressure, but pretty much by the volcano.
What other channel can you tune into that's going to give you crypto, financial, and news on microorganisms?
No other.
I don't know. None other channel. That's what makes us unique. And I think it's very fitting to end the show with this. Javier Milei said, I didn't promote the coin. I just shared it.
Okay.
Robin, I didn't rob the bank. I just borrowed money without asking.
Kept the door open.
I didn't say I was going to marry her, but I did bring her to Thanksgiving dinner. So take that as you want.
That'll do it for the show today, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Make sure you subscribe, ping your notification bell on. Also, I'll be doing a live trading show. I'll be digging a little deeper into AI agents. What are the metrics showing? This show is all about fundamentals and technicals and a community-driven show.
It'll be live, right?
Yes, live, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on this channel. So make sure you subscribe and come join me later this afternoon. Anything else? Anyone has any?
No, that's it, bro.
That's it? Guys, not guys. Rocco specifically. Man, I started working out yesterday. My arms are
You start to working out.
Rocco. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. Thank you to all the moderators, all the community members, all the whales, and the people that are subscribed to the channel. We love y'all. Until next time, peace.
Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us meme coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon, then to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.